Oh,
I know. It's good to see you again.
Or I forgot I was so short, I should say.
Oh, no, you're all right.
So you're from Compton.
Yes,
and it worked from organizations from the YMCA, Youth for Human Rights International, educating young people about their rights as human beings.
Yes.
Got the Stephanie Hamilton Community Spirit Award by the Ebony Awakening Foundation, and awarded the mayor and city council of Compton, California, for graduating from the Millennial Movement Leadership Development Institute.
Yes.
The only one who completed that wasn't a college graduate. We're talking about Rizza Islam. Good morning.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
We could go on, and maybe we will. We'll read different parts of it at each break. Welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's good to be back, actually.
And of course, I saw you. I've seen you a lot. I've seen you out there working at Nipsey's memorials that they have in the streets, and really, putting in the work to keep people safe in that situation.
Absolutely.
I don't think I've ever seen a person move quite so fast. So thank you for, I really thank you. I saw what you were doing. Me and Ariel and Cameron were out there, and we saw you in action, and it was quite impressive.
Thank you. Thank you. Do my best, definitely. It's a lot of work, but of course, we all have our part to do.
A lot of folks like to talk the talk.
Come on. That's true.
So, you have some videos up about coronavirus.
Yes.
Aside from being a community activist, you're also a YouTuber.
Yes, an independent researcher more so than anything else, but definitely, yes.
Okay, an independent researcher who appears on YouTube.
Absolutely, definitely.
We're going to be streaming this on KJLH Instagram in just a moment. Anyway, so, and you've got quite a following on social media.
Yes.
How many people follow you on Instagram?
Instagram, 345,000 people as of right now.
Wow, it's a lot of folks.
Definitely.
So you're an influencer.
Yes.
And I don't know. Let me not go down that rabbit hole. Okay, so you've put out a couple of pieces about coronavirus.
Yes.
And you have maybe in some areas a pretty different take on it, right?
Yes.
I don't even know why I'm saying different from what. Different from maybe what we're hearing in the mainstream media. Maybe not so different from what a lot of people are talking about in barbershops or, at Simply Wholesome, whatever.
Right. Well, it's actually, I would say it's the traditional to the original people's narrative, meaning the actual causes, looking at the underlining pre-existing medical conditions, etc. Not just going to the reactive side or just to the effect of everything, but actually establishing the cause of what's really going on, and then of course cross-referencing from what the medical doctors and the mainstream media are saying as well.
So one of the things I saw that you say is that you feel it's man-made.
Yes, I believe there's correlation, and they verified that scientists in Korea, Japan, as well as China, where they say that this is a manipulated version. They said the newest strain is a highly manipulated version.
Right, so what you say on your video, you say coronavirus has been around a long time, there's a lot of strains of it. We've gotten that from Glenn Ellis and King Drew Doctor. That's not controversial.
Right.
This is just a mutation or whatever you want to call it, a new strain is what they say. That's why they're scared of it so much. People don't know a lot about it. It's new.
Right.
I mean, you said scientists in Korea and Japan. Can you be more specific as to where you're getting information that you feel it is? Are you saying it's modified in a lab, or are you saying that it's actually chemical warfare?
Oh, well, of course. Well, one, we can't put chemical warfare, we can't put that past America. America has a long-standing history of creating bioweapons, specifically from Fort Detrick, Maryland, the United States Bioweapons Division under the Department of Defense. That's very well known, or should I say, it's known to those who know it.
Well, I mean, it's known that the United States and other superpowers and either not so superpowers dabble in chemical warfare. Yeah, that's not breaking news. But specifically, what have you found that links coronavirus to that? This, novel coronavirus, COVID-19.
Sure. Well, I'll say there's a medical doctor by the name of Dr. Richard Chang over in Shaolin, China, Shanghai, China, where he specified that this is nothing far from a simple version of what you would refer to as the flu. But seeing how this is the newest strain of the coronavirus, it has 4 strains of the HIV virus in it. And he specified that with all of the clamor going on, all of the fear-mongering, all of these scare tactics that are happening behind this, they weren't doing the same thing for the flu. They were not doing the same thing for the H1N1. They weren't doing the same thing for Ebola. And I know that's a classic argument, but he made all of these before he went into what he found in his rectification or his way of handling it, which was liquid IV vitamin C therapy, which is something that is very well known as well.
Saying that's you have a long list of solutions, and I do want to get to that because I think that's really probably where we need to spend most of our time.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to address these kind of points that you put out there, because a lot of people are saying them, and I, from my own research, haven't found anything convincingly verifying to me that we can say this is definitely chemical warfare, definitely made in a lab. You even go so far as to say that it's part of population control.
Oh, of course. Well, that's specifically as a part of the Healthy People 2020 guidelines, which is a part of the United States division dealing with the Health and Human Services Department. That Healthy People 2020, also the National Security Study Memorandum 200, which was written under Dr. Henry Kissinger, who was the 32nd Secretary of State under President Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford. Also a part of that, you have something called Global 2000, which was illustrated under President Jimmy Carter. All of these outline depopulation as the ultimate solution.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing because you had to say he was the 32nd Secretary.
I had to.
In case you didn't know that. All right, Rizza. We know you're a brainiac.
It's a big topic. We gotta be realistic. We gotta be real straight with facts.
That's not in question.
Right? No. We have to be. It's a very big thing. People are really dying. So you want to make sure.
Absolutely, people are really dying.
Gotta be factual.
And I think that's true. But the thing about facts is people can cherry pick, and people can take one thing and run with it, like the couple that just died from taking advice from President Trump's press conference, and they went and got the chemical chloroquine. I knew you'd have it. That is the one they got is the one that's used for cleaning fish tanks, and they took it, and the man died.
Yes.
Because Trump said it's promising. They haven't even done the studies yet. They're thinking about maybe studying it, and So I know that we have to, people can take one thing and run with it.
Correct.
Right? So the bottom line is, and you've called out Bill Gates, you've called out, and I did like your point. You said, well, why are you listening to Bill Gates just because he's rich? He actually doesn't have a college degree either.
Zero.
And that's the point taken. But at the same time, even me, I talk a lot of smack. That's my job.
Sure.
But when it comes to things like this, where people's lives are in the balance, sometimes as influencers, opinion makers, stuff starters, we have to be responsible what we're saying.
And I'm so happy you said that, because that's the absolute premise of why I state what I state, because there's been so much misinformation going out, so many influencers,
what
so many celebrities.
Give me an example.
Number one that, for instance, I'll say this: black people can't catch COVID-19.
Ask the Black Ski Club.
Right, exactly, right. It's not true.
Yeah.
And even me being someone who dabbles in conspiracy, which is not a negative thing. Conspiracy still means one or two more people or groups come together to do something that is evil and or wicked. So conspiracy is actually a real thing.
Provable conspiracies, yeah.
Well, because that's the difference between a conspiracy fact and a conspiracy theory.
Right.
So I don't dabble in that. If it's not a fact, I'm not going to be running out here saying I don't care how. There's no pride when it comes to that, because people have to be taken care of. And that's the difference when you actually live with the people. You have to be responsible with your wording. But one of those things when they said black people can't catch it, that's not true. The likelihood and the statistics have shown that black people are the least likely so far with all of the numbers. But those who, of course, are at the most risk or high risk are the elderly, 50 and older, and of course anyone who has a pre-existing medical condition with a compromised immune system, which can be anybody. So that's the main area, but black people haven't gotten it as much as anyone else. That's just the statistics. So to say we can't get it is not true. You see? So just to be responsible with our words.
And let's keeping in mind that it's the first outbreak that we know of was in China, then Italy, and now the United States and Europe are the main spots.
Well, it actually went from China to Iran.
That's right. I forgot about Iran.
Was all of this, and now this is where you get people who dabble in conspiracy start to question, which questioning is not a bad thing because it just simply causes people to think. But it goes from China to Iran and to Italy. America, and this is where the oil question comes in, because now even with China, which has business investments in Iran, Russia the same, Italy the same. So it hits China hard, it hits Iran hard, and it hits Italy hard. All of them dealing with oil. connections in Iran. But America, of course, needed the oil because America needs that. Of course, America produces oil because she does fracking with our people here in America, specifically on Native American
But what you're talking
territory.
about there is a factual point of that, but there's no provable causal relationship there.
There are provable relationships and connections there. That's why
so
those I don't go to at the moment.
The causal link there. I mean, you can, you know what I'm saying? Because
Sure.
we can say.
Well, how much time do we have? Let me make sure before I even go into that.
That's true.
I don't want to go into, but put it this way: America had went into Iran dealing with the oil. They discovered, very interesting word they kindly use all the time,
Right.
55 billion barrels of oil in Iran.
Right.
Now, America produces oil because she destroys certain areas, specifically native burial grounds, like in Standing Rock, North Dakota, where I was to fight against the pipeline. Donald Trump has investments in that, along with another list of other people. That's one reason why she produces it, so it's not a humanitarian or humane way of producing oil. So she has to get oil reserves in other countries. Iran happens to be a target. That's one of the areas that they went in to try to get that. But it's not turning out to be so smooth.
I get all that, but what does that have to do with COVID-19?
When dealing with biowarfare, as America is very well known for doing, same thing with Iraq, how they used depleted uranium. Because they wouldn't give them the oil that they wanted, they used depleted uranium. Dropped bombs in those areas, killing off hundreds of millions of people, infecting hundreds of millions, killing millions, and infecting hundreds of millions after that. The soil, the air, the water, and the people are still dealing with that to this very day.
Killing millions? Millions?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
In Iraq? Oh, yes. After 9/11? Oh, please. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, that's not what, is being reported.
It cannot
So,
and will not be
again, your
reported that
sources,
way.
yeah, okay. Again, we can go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole.
Of course.
But you're not in Iraq, and you're not there counting bodies, so where are you getting...
From the whistleblowers who were there themselves, the Iraqi soldiers who actually renounced their citizenship. There are a number, and I don't even want to drop certain names, but these are people who were military soldiers themselves, people who were in Iraq and who stated that they refused orders because those orders went against their code and what they were taught, and because they were told to kill innocent men, women, and children. These are many. This is very open, and you can say Googleable, YouTubeable. These are people who actually they're no longer, they were discredited.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
We're talking with Rizza Islam, by the way, and you're welcome to call 520-KJLH, 520-5554, coronavirus. And, people, if you have questions, comments, or theories, and a lot of people do have theories because they've been calling in the past few weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Actually,
this is a
since
hot
February.
Topic.
So,
Hot topic.
in a way, you feel it's, that it is likely biological warfare, chemical warfare. You feel that it's man-made in the lab. You feel that it's even population control, which is, odd that they would want to target Italy as opposed to black people. Kenya just closed its border, not closed its border, went on lockdown. South Africa closing borders.
Jamaica.
It's we find Europeans bringing it into the continent.
Yes, definitely.
Why they would want to wipe out Italians, that's another conversation, but
Patient
Zero, as I understand, was also Italian in China.
Right. This is what's interesting to me is, of course, they said this is the newest strain of it because we know coronavirus. The word corona means crowns. Crown. It's a multitude of viruses, so it's a family. And now Prince
Charles has it.
Right. As of, 2-3 hours ago reported. Right. Yeah. So, and of course, here's the other thing. The symptoms for the coronavirus are conducive to a multitude of different diseases and respiratory illnesses. Very, very simple. The flu, etc. Same thing. Cough, fever, runny nose. These are very
But
standard.
you said it attacks the genitalia.
Oh, no. Of course, no. That's something that it was referred to when it was talking about it. This one specifically because it has 4 strains of HIV in it. So that, of course, goes towards reproductive health.
But what people are experiencing is
what's being reported
lack of
so
being
far.
able to breathe, loss of sense of smell, sense of taste.
Those are as the first
dry
symptoms.
Coughing,
right.
Headache, fever, death.
Right, as the first symptoms. And then, of course, the question behind that is, and this is why I make sure to question this, they're very, very, very blatant about speaking of everyone who's dying. About every hour or 2 hours, someone else dies. They make it very, very, very blatant. Oh my God, this person died, this person died. They're not telling you the over 94,000 people who have recovered from it.
Right.
So as of right now, there's over 300,000 who are infected. But there's over 95,000 who have recovered.
And the thing is, they're saying that the death rate, the fatality rate, is between 1% and 3%, which
Right.
it means 99 to 97% live.
Yeah.
And probably it's less than that die because we're not testing that much.
Correct.
So, and a lot of people have it and don't know they have it. They'll never have symptoms. They'll walk around with it. So, in fact, the fatality rate is probably much lower than 1%.
Absolutely. And that's the responsibility of those who are reporting. Because people's lives are at stake. And then, of course, not only that, but now you're shutting down businesses. Now
yeah, I mean, I get that. But even if it's only... And my understanding, it's 65 and over that are really at risk, and those with
first it said 50,
conditions.
now then it says 65. They keep switching things. Then they said you can
right.
get you wear gloves.
And that makes sense too, because more information is coming out. It's something we don't know about. I mean, you shake your head skeptically, but
well, you just said that they weren't testing that well either. So
and they're still not.
Exactly.
California is way behind in testing, even behind New York, Washington.
Oh, yeah. So new adjustments are coming out, but the tests to verify that new adjustments are required and not being actively or accurately tested. So therefore you can't necessarily make an absolute logical assessment of that. So any doctor and any medical professional, which I've met with and spoke to many, they'll tell you, number one, if this is a respiratory disease or respiratory situation, the first thing you want to do is you want to trace the mucus connection to this. And what they have determined is that this specific strain hardens the mucus in the respiratory system. That's one thing. So they say you must add heat. Then you must add high levels of immune boosting solutions in order to break that up.
And
that's
solutions, and solutions is where I want to go.
Yeah.
So
the problem we've been talking about that. I mean, everyone's talking about the problem, and it's like, you know what? That's why I did the solutions video, because where can people see that, by the way, if they want to see? Oh yes, YouTube, Rizza Islam, and of course Instagram. Everything under
Rizza
Rizza
is
Islam.
R-I-Z-Z-A.
Yes, 2 Z's. That's right.
I thought. Never mind. I'm not going to go distracting here. Having Dick Gregory flashbacks right now, but. One of the things I think most of us can agree on, you probably even, actually I know for sure even the MDs would agree with you on this, water.
Of course, yes.
Dr. Noel Reed was in here talking about that Saturday.
Yes.
By the way, we're doing another show about the economic piece of this on Saturday. It's coming Saturday, I think. But water, why is it so important? You talk about it in your solutions video.
Oh yes, I mean the body is over 80% water. The vast majority of all the organs require water. Everything that is running within the body requires water. So if you do not have enough water, or should I say, if you're drying out your body with alcohol, with smoking, etc., this is the time where people really want to go ahead and sober up, because your body is going to have to use all of the moisture in order to break up the mucus. The mucus is forming because it is trying to attack a pathogen or an invading bacteria, negative bacteria. So it's forming to push this out of the body. So you're going to cough a lot, and the thicker it is, that means the more moisture your body requires. So you're going to have to drink that in order for it to pass out smoothly. More water you drink, less likelihood of you being infected, less likelihood that if you are infected that you'll retain the infection for too long. So be moisturized, have lots of water, you'll pass through very fast.
And that's true of anything. I mean, by the way,
Simple.
It is a form of cleanse.
Absolutely.
And one of the things you talk about in your solutions video is a cleanse.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, are you talking about going out and getting like a Dr. Nathan Rabb, or doing the hardcore, Dr. Gauze cleanse with the olive oil? Or are you talking about...
There's so many of them.
Master cleanse. What do you mean?
One right now, I gave a number of different cleanses. Of course, water as one. Fasting is another. The more economical ones that people can afford first. Then, of course, if you want to just do the sea moss, bladder rack, the mineral infusion, then you have the Dr. Goss cleanse. And then, of course, I go all the way down to, even if you are overweight and your body has so much or so many chemicals, toxins in it, then you can consider a colon cleanse, because there's so many people walking around with between...
like colonics, if you can find someone open.
Between, anywhere between 10 and 40 pounds of fecal matter, creating the environment within the body to where parasites can actually live and form. And then that goes into a number of health issues as well.
We're on Instagram Live, by the way, finally, on KJLH. Instagram Live. What's up, Instagram family? Good to see you here with Rizza Islam, 520-KJLH. If you have a question or a conversation.
Fruit cleanse, by the way, as well.
Or vegetables. You can do a raw vegetable cleanse.
Yeah.
But people have to be careful with fasting, though, and cleanses. I mean, people are quarantined at home. They may not have a doctor or a holistic health practitioner.
Exactly. That's why I listed as many options, because there's a lot of things you can do here, but the simple ones, fruits and vegetables, cut out the dairy, fried foods, etc. Water, fruits, vegetables, stick to those if you can. Just because in the hood, most people, they don't have these options, but they have something.
Everybody has water. I mean, people are
That's
going
why.
to Costco and trying to buy it, but it does come out of your faucet.
Yes, true. Learn how to boil it. Learn how to alkalize it. Use, you can get baking soda. Make sure you
Well,
get
LA
everything.
tap water is alkaline. It's 7.0.
Yeah, well, it has a certain amount of heavy metals and trace metals as well, too.
That's the problem.
Yeah, so
That's why you
we
need a
gotta be
filter.
careful.
And additives, right?
Yes.
The fluoride and such.
But you
But
can
it
use
is
it.
alkaline.
You can
It's
use it.
alkaline,
Yeah, you
if
can
that's
use
what
it.
you're looking for.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
and I just think we forget about that when we're beating each other up at Costco.
Yes.
Yeah, it comes out your faucet. You
Mhm.
already paid for it.
Right.
It's not free, but you already paid for it.
Learn how to prep it, and you'll be all right.
How do you prep if you were to drink tap water, how would you prep it?
First, you want to boil it. Of course, get it to a steady boil. If you don't have any baking soda, which that's the first thing I would reference to go to, because that will alkalize it and that will also cleanse it and detoxify it. If not, then you want to get Celtic salt. If you don't have that, you want to get pink Himalayan salt. If you don't have that, the last thing you want to use is that disgustingly horrific iodized white table salt. That is the one thing you do not want to use. But again, if that's the only option you have, you want to boil your water as much as possible while using something to alkalize it and detoxify it.
What about a filter, like a Brita or something?
If you got it.
Yeah,
if you got it.
if you can get it.
If you can, oh, please, yeah, definitely.
And then there's prayer. That's always good.
Yeah.
That's always helpful.
Can't do enough praying.
Let's go to Morris from Long Beach. Good morning, Morris.
Good morning, Front Page family. I have a question for the both of you. The president suggested that on Easter Sunday, everybody can go ahead and together and worship. And I heard if we do that in April, that 1 million people would die in California in May. Do you believe that? Thank you very much.
Beautiful question from a very interesting person who always has interesting things, meaning President 45, Donald Trump. 1 million people will die if we all get together in prayer. That's kind of anti every type of faith, I believe. But no, I don't believe 1 million people would die if everyone came together and had prayer. There has to be a responsible way to do it, of course, and I believe that if we pray, even in our respective homes, we'll be fine. Whether outside, which right now, by the way, the air is the cleanest it's been in LA, I know, for at least the last 25 years.
Right, all that rain.
Oh yeah, rain and far less emissions from cars, far less cars on the road, far less, all of this stuff. So I'm looking outside, so it's very, very clean. So of course, depending on where you are, and because there's far less movement with these machines, the air is cleaner. So the likelihood is actually lower. So I just wanted to make that very clear as it pertains to
Other than
airborne
unless
bacteria.
someone coughs on you while you're at church and,
Continually.
acting in. So, are you practicing social distancing?
Oh boy.
I mean, we're doing it right now in the studio.
Right,
I'm
we
6
are.
feet away from
We
you.
are.
I'm 6 feet away from.
Right. Yeah. We're practicing it. Due to the circumstance here. But me, I am quarantining per se. I'm not going around just virtually everyone except family, close friends. Just to handle the necessities, the essentials. But we are following the law, if you want to say it that way. We are following the suggestion. We definitely are. I know I am. But I'm not running around with gloves on. I'm not wearing a mask because we know the people who wear the mask are the ones who actually have the virus, and it's to prevent others from catching it. That's why they're wearing the mask, not necessarily for those who are not trying to get it. So I'm falling in line with the basics as it pertains to the, those mandates and those rules.
What other solutions do you want us to focus on?
Number one, keep your immune system strong. So again, as I said earlier, if you do smoke, I would recommend you cut it down tremendously or just cut it out, period, if you can, depending on how long you've been smoking, what you're smoking, etc. It may be a little difficult, but cut that down because that damages the immune system and increases the likelihood of having or catching any type of virus, disease, etc. 1, 2.
Particularly a respiratory disease.
Exactly. Right?
Lungs, hello.
Exactly. That's the first thing. 2, alcohol. You want to cut down on that tremendously, if not altogether, because that also depresses the immune system and increases the likelihood of you getting an infection of whatever type or sort or kind. So those are the 2 things. 3, we want to make sure we drink lots of water, exercise, get cardio in because that helps to break up the excess mucus that the body does not need. 4, you want to make sure you're taking your minerals. I do recommend sea moss and bladderwrack. That gives you all the 102 minerals your body needs. I do recommend you increase in your vitamin C every day, specifically liposomal, because it actually dissolves faster into the bloodstream. That's one. Another one, you want to make sure you have your elderberry, we know about that, oregano oil. You want to make sure you have all the different immune boosters, astragalus, different herbs, all of these different things, whatever you can get your hands on.
Are you taking all of those every day?
I definitely take my Bladderwrack, my sea moss. I take my liposomal vitamin C, astragalus. I take about a good 7, but it's including black seed oil as well. So yeah, we don't get sick over here.
Obviously, you're not a doctor.
Right. My mother's a medical. She was becoming an MD, and she saw what they were doing. She switched into an MD, which is a naturopathic doctor.
So your mom is a naturopathic doctor, but you're not.
Oh no.
So why do you feel like...
You can't fall too far from the tree now.
I mean, I'm always telling people, drink your water and take your herbs, so I'm not trying to be a hypocrite here, but why do we have any place to speak since we're not doctors?
Well, one, I don't speak on behalf of what I know only. I make sure to cross-reference. I meet with many doctors, many medical MD doctors. Then, of course, I meet with herbalists and naturopaths and everyone from every gamut, whether if it's from the mainstream or underground, etc. And I make sure to come up with all of the solutions that are agreed upon, or even if they're not agreed upon. But what are all the solutions that we can come up with? Because everyone knows the problem. The mainstream media focuses on the problem all day long. But what are the solutions? Can the people get any solutions? Those that they can afford, one. The other options that they can't afford, but let's give them all of those. So I don't have to be a doctor to tell you the truth, just like we don't have to say, listen, it's good to drink water. These are basic truths. So for me to regurgitate the basic truths, doesn't require a degree.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to state, though, because,
True.
I got to take a break right here, but interesting study came out about influencers, in a huge number, over 80% of the information that we get from influencers, specifically on fitness and wellness, are wrong.
And I would argue, one, I would agree to a degree with that, because I would argue which narrative and who has the monopoly on what is right or what is wrong as it pertains to health and wellness. Because, for instance, they do say in America, it's okay to eat beef and pork, and they justify with so many statistics, but then again, in real life, no, it's actually not. It's horrific to eat lots of beef. It's horrific to eat virtually any pork, and then we can go ahead and go into all the reasons as to why that is, but they say it's safe. Alcohol, they say it's safe to consume. Tobacco, they say it's safe to consume.
Well, they don't say it's safe to consume tobacco anymore.
But what did they say for at least a good 30, 40, 50 years?
Right. And it's always changing. First, salt is good for you, then it's bad for you. I understand that but some things are just wrong.
Oh yes, I believe that.
And lift this weight this way and your back goes out. That's just wrong. There is some things which are.
There's a lot of self-proclaimed health experts.
Yeah, so I think we have to be cognizant and conscious about who we decide to trust.
Absolutely.
And ask the questions.
Absolutely.
Ask the questions. One of the reasons I like to interview so many holistic health practitioners and researchers is so I can have knowledge to empower myself. So I think not to discredit what you're saying, but just to remember we have to be conscious.
We have to verify everything now.
Taking your calls all the way up till Steve gets here at 6 o'clock, 520-KJLH, 520-5554. We're speaking with Rizza Islam. He's an activist and an independent researcher.
Yes.
I also call him a YouTuber because he got a lot of followers. It's Radio Free 102.3. Coronavirus, COVID-19. A lot of people are on the phones right now, Mr. Islam. So I want to power through some calls here, hit these headlines, and power through some more if that works for you.
Absolutely.
Let's go to Louise calling from the Crenshaw District. Good morning, Louise.
Good morning.
Okay, I need the short version of this story, Louise. You sound like you ready to have a fireside chat.
I know exactly where you're going, sister. I know where you're going.
It's too late to make it short. What's your question? Got it, Louise. Right. Thank you. Got it.
Right. Yeah, at higher risk. And I'll say this, sister. Thank you for your question. Number one, you do have something called chemtrails, which is absolutely correct. It does exist. These are not contrails. These are not simply exhaust from fuel, etc. You can see the difference between contrails, chemtrails, and simply the exhaust that comes from these planes. Yes, they have been known to do this, and it is verified, and it's absolute fact that they do have They do have barium, which is a heavy metal. They have strontium. They have attenuated red blood cells.
Who's been known to do this, and what's your source?
United States government, #1. Also, Bill Gates openly stated that we want to block out the sun and that we must use specific methods by which to do this in order to cover the sky. And one of the ways that he specified under the Bill and Melinda Gates administration in certain areas is dealing with using certain metals to refract the sun rays, to bounce them away from the sun due to climate change. These are very, very interesting reasons. So yes, chemicals are used. That is very well known. That's not a clandestine thing. It's very well known. Chemtrails exist. But I will say this for seniors and for anyone else, it's very easy to keep the air clean. One thing that we do use is sage. As original people, we do use sage. It is known to kill at least 98% of airborne bacteria. It is something that has been used for a very long time, years and years and years among the original people. So I recommend getting some sage. Make sure you have it around the house. Not the chemical spray like Lysol, which everybody think was killing things, but it's actually harming your respiratory system even more. So get some sage, make sure your air is clean, and if you do go out as an elderly person, I wouldn't recommend early in the morning too much unless you're getting heavy exercise, and if you're strong enough, fine, but other than that, make sure you go out when there's sun out.
If you want to use Lysol to disinfect something like a handbag or some shoes, and you put it out on your porch and you spray them.
Let that air out.
Yeah, I think that's better, because I do agree that breathing that, it's
people
really
are right now spraying all in their
lungs.
home, and it's horrible for the lungs.
I saw videos from Africa where the cab drivers are spraying down their customers with Lysol before they left.
People getting crazy. We got Lysol in here right now.
Yeah, you can't. Well, yeah, they love it around here. Okay, let's go to Celeste from Inglewood. Short version, please, Celeste. You're on with Rizza Islam.
Hi, good morning, Dominique. You, your guest, and my child who has been extremely informative and responsive during this time. How can we keep our house safe when we have public workers while the kids are being quote-unquote quarantined in school? We need to get internet, the workers are coming to the home. I appreciate what you just said, so I'm hoping that the sage cleaning the air, is it crazy to ask that they wear masks and gloves?
You're saying as far as the workers?
Public workers.
Public workers wearing the masks.
Do you have masks and gloves? Because for some there's a mask shortage. So I think if you provide them with clean, fresh masks and gloves, I don't think that's crazy at all. That's mama protecting her baby.
Right, especially
it's
if you're saying,
house.
Right, public workers coming in and they're moving in different things, and they may be using chemicals, and I would assume certain construction materials, etc.
And they may have cooties.
Right.
they could have COVID.
Right.
But on the other hand, I think to go back to Rizza's point about making sure our kids are hydrated, like I force mine,
keep their immune system
practically
strong.
at gunpoint to drink water. Making sure that they're eating fresh fruits and vegetables, cutting down on the candy, things like that, so that we can keep their immune system strong.
Absolutely. It's not as you don't have to be paranoid. You simply take very basic precautions and you'll be fine.
Now, I haven't heard that sage kills.
98%.
I do it because spiritual cooties, but the same thing with actually yerba santa is said to help clean negative properties, toxic properties out of the air, and you can burn it like sage.
Our ancestors had it right. They got it right.
Thank you for your call, Celeste. We're going to Mike from Los Angeles. Hi, Mike.
Good morning, Dominique. You mentioned that when you have mucus, that eliminates the viruses and stuff. Did I hear that wrong, or what?
Mucus is eliminating viruses?
No, yes.
I don't think he said that.
No, I definitely didn't say that it's eliminating the virus. I'm saying that the mucus is a buildup when a virus is located in the body, or a pathogen, that you have your white blood cells surround it, and it forms a mucus. And that is a collection of between the white blood cells and the foreign pathogen, virus, etc. And it comes out in that form, and it also comes out through the urine, fecal matter, etc. All the different ways to secrete or excrete
everything that we eliminate.
It pushes it out.
But you were also talking about how drinking water can help break that
down. Yes.
and remove it from the body. Mucus is usually associated with disease.
Yes. So you want to get rid of the mucus.
What about the medicine mucus?
Mucinex.
I recommend using as many natural ways and forms first. If that's all you have, then of course use what you have. Okay, but of course go to the things that actually boost the immune system more than anything else. And the mucus forming in the body is definitely a sign that you have to get rid of a number of things, from smoking, drinking, of course lots of sugar, fried foods and dairy.
Love
you want
me
to get
some
rid of those
cheese.
things. So
and I'm not giving it up, but I'm just saying, if you're
right.
having mucus, that's where you
eliminate
start.
those causes,
Butter,
and you will see
cheese,
a good
ice cream.
Oh yeah, gotta eliminate those things.
Yeah. Gravy.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
We got a list of it all.
Yeah.
That's real.
But what about cayenne pepper?
Beautiful thing. I recommend everyone use something called ginger hibiscus tea, lemon hibiscus tea, lime hibiscus tea. You put cayenne in it as well. There's a lot of things that
you can find it now. Well, I think Simply Wholesome still has some.
They do. A lot of our brown brothers here buy black, definitely, and go get the purple leaf hibiscus, chop up some ginger, use lime juice, cayenne pepper, honey, or manuka honey, or of course raw maple syrup. These are different things you can use, and the MDs agree with. These are basic herbs you can use to drink, and that'll break up all the mucus. But cayenne is definitely essential, along with turmeric and a lot of other things.
All right, let's go to Wendell from LA. Hi, Mike. Bye, Mike. Hi, Wendell.
I appreciate you telling us to be wary of where we got information from. Because this guy, President Pinocchio, he has no expertise in this type of stuff, so that's why there's a lot of misinformation.
You're coming from the president? Yeah, true.
Yeah, and also,
definitely. Oh, beautiful. It is.
All right, thanks, Wendell.
Beautiful.
Yeah, happy birthday.
President Pinocchio?
That was a new one for me. Yeah, I call him the illegit Prez. But
right.
I mean, anyone who drinks 12 Diet Cokes a day, as the president reportedly does, has no standing to give any health advice to anyone.
No, not at all. That would explain his early onset Alzheimer's as well. But go ahead. That is a lot. Wow.
All right, Q from Carson.
Yes.
Okay, yes, mine is really quick. Okay, this is about the liposomal vitamin C that you mentioned.
Yes, sir.
So you said that one is better than the regular vitamin.
Yes.
Okay, good, I got that. So I already take the men's one-a-day multivitamin. So if that already has vitamin C in it, can I still take the liposomal, or is there too much vitamin C I'm consuming? Because I know the multivitamin, I still need that to have.
Got it. Thank you, Q.
Very good question. The interesting thing, the beauty of taking vitamins is that you can't necessarily take too much, because the body will simply get rid of what it can't use through urine, through everything else. So you can take more vitamin C, liposomal, and I recommend you do, especially right now. You definitely want to do that, but you also want to drink a lot of water. Be mindful of check on your body weight and also your age, and then also determine, that will let you know how much you should be taking. But the one a day is fine, and also take extra liposomal every other hour, maybe 3 hours. And you can check with MDs to cross-reference that. Naturopaths, you can call into their centers to see, the recommendation. But you can absolutely add on more vitamin C.
Yeah, we can burn 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C a minute when we're under stress.
Exactly.
And I've seen multiple studies. So vitamin C is not one that you have to be careful with. Some of the other vitamins.
You can't overdose on vitamin C.
Yeah, you're not going to. What about the, the conversation about COVID-19 being, the disease itself being patented?
Oh, well, see, that's the small misunderstanding is that the coronavirus being patented by the Peer Bright Institute under Bill Gates, or the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Okay, well, I'll say this. First of all, the patent, people have to understand, you're dealing with a specific type of strain. Dealing with the coronavirus. It's not the COVID-19. It's not that one. This is one of the multiple coronaviruses that do exist, and that specifically deals with the one coming from animals, where they were using that to create drugs and vaccines from, which is not uncommon for pharmaceutical companies. So that's a very, people they say, oh my God, it's patented, and I'm all the way in, when it comes to the facts, but that's not the fact when it comes to this. This one is not patented. That's what people need to understand. But is it something that was predicted? Yes. The movie Contagion predicted it? Yes. Event 201, everyone should research that. In October of last year? Yes. Where they simulated this entire situation? Yes. All of this,
It seems like Hollywood always has a movie, though, that's something like whatever the crisis of the week is.
Yeah, premeditated programming. They do it all the time. Desensitizes it once it actually hits reality in real life. You won't know how to respond to, because you think you're looking at a movie in real life when you actually were subconsciously programmed beforehand.
Okay. Can you say that again slowly? We don't have time.
Right, I got you.
You're going to have to come back.
Absolutely.
Real quick, where can we find you on social media?
Yes, everything is under Rizza Islam, Rizza, last name Islam, like the religion, Islam. Definitely honored to help, serve, and just do what I can to help our people.
Thanks for being here. And all that's up at KJLHradio.com.
Thank you.